It is a really exciting day in the city. Toronto has been awarded Canada's first ever WNBA team. We'll have plenty of reaction coming up.
A man's dead. A second person is fighting for his life. This is after a shooting in a school parking lot that happened near Winston Churchill and Battleford in Mississauga.
And Toronto City Council is meeting for a second day. Councillors have been discussing electric scooters, and they're expected to talk about Gardiner gridlock this afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to CP24 Live at Noon. I'm Bakari Savage.
And I'm Lena Latafat. Thank you for joining us. It is official. Toronto is getting a WNBA team.
And for more on today's announcement, let's go live to CP24 Steve Ryan, who's at Hotel X. This is where the announcement was made this morning. Steve.
Yeah, Bakari, Lena, big news if you are a basketball fan. We heard earlier on today that, as you guys have said, Toronto is getting the 14th franchise in WNBA history. They'll be starting their inaugural season in 2026, and this is the 28th year that the WNBA has been in existence. So at this location today, we heard from the Prime Minister, we heard from the Premier, the Mayor, the Commissioner of the WNBA, and Larry Tanenbaum as well, who is the majority owner in this franchise. He's also a minority owner with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Commissioner spoke to the large crowd of people here today, and she said that one of the big reasons why Toronto was chosen over other cities to get this 14th franchise in the history of the WNBA is because of their incredible diversity. And she mentioned the basketball game that was here just 2 years ago, where it was sold out in less than 20 minutes. So this certainly got the attention of the WNBA, and Larry Tanenbaum was one that was devoted to making this dream of his become a reality, and it is now official that Toronto will be the 14th team in the WNBA history starting in 2026. We did get reaction earlier from the Commissioner and from Larry Tanenbaum as well. Here's some of what both of them said. Let's listen.
And just it's got me thinking, let's look at the data. Let's find a committed ownership group. Let's make sure we have a good arena and player experience. Let's have a preseason game here, which coming off the pandemic we eventually did in 23, a little 3 years late, but I saw the excitement and the vibrancy of the city around women's sports and women's basketball, and obviously Canada basketball, and having Canadian players in our league playing at the highest level, elite, all factored into it. But when Larry and I met, it was, kind of like that Jerry Maguire, you had me at hello.
Our team will complete the pathway for women in this country. They will see heroes that look like them in person and on the air all summer long. They'll gain inspiration from Asia Wilson, Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, and Kia Nurse. They can see that the sport they play as girls and as women is just as important and worth investing in. Because the more we all recognize value and potential of women's sports, the closer we get to a more equitable future in the world of sports.
The club will play out of Coca-Cola Coliseum, which seats just under 9,000 people, and the team will take their games on the road as well. Guys, they'll play in Montreal and Vancouver, as word spreads of Toronto being the next WNBA franchise starting in 2026. Back to this.
Exciting times. Steve Ryan, thanks so much for this. Also making news, GTA Police Services have launched a campaign to combat street racing. Project Erase, which stands for Eliminate Racing Activity on Streets Everywhere, kicked off at Exhibition Place this morning. Police from Toronto, York, Peel, Halton, Hamilton, and OPP were in attendance. They're coming together for this campaign because they say street racing has no jurisdictional boundaries.
Since this time last year, we have seen a 31% increase in calls for service relating to stunt driving. These numbers are alarming and they are unacceptable. Last summer, the Toronto Police Service led Project Burnout, a joint forces operation in partnership with the OPP, Peel, York, and Durham Regional Police Services. Project Burnout was a huge success, relating in 143 arrests, 135 stunt driving, and 90 criminal code dangerous driving charges.
The reality is that street racing and dangerous driving is illegal, and it has no place on our roadways, our highways, or our parking lots. Recently, York Regional Police and other GTA police services have been dealing with an increase of organized groups of drivers gathering in large numbers for car meets and when in some instances they engage in illegal activities, hazardous actions such as racing, drifting, and burnouts.
Stunt driving and street racing carry possible fines of up to $10,000, as well as a 30-day license suspension at roadside and a 14-day vehicle impoundment.
Liberal leader Bonnie Crombie has requested an update into the status of the ongoing Greenbelt investigation. In the letter to the RCMP commissioner, Crombie says new information reveals closer involvement by Ford and his staff and urges a close review of it. An investigation was launched in October after Ontario's Integrity Commissioner released a detailed report this summer on how lands were selected to be removed from the province's Greenbelt. Premier Ford has denied any involvement in the scandal.
Well, the union representing striking Nestle workers in Toronto held a rally in support of those on the picket line today. Uniformed members demonstrated outside the company's manufacturing plant. This is on Sterling Road, happened this morning. It was a show of solidarity. Hundreds of employees walked off the job about 3 weeks ago. The union's key demands include pension plan improvements. It says that no progress has been made at the bargaining table so far.
Everybody supports the workers. This chocolate factory's been making millions of dollars during COVID, and they're investing $110 million into the plant. So it goes to show you it's a good factory, and the workers want their share. It's just like the Metro strike, right? People want their fair share of the profits.
The demands that the workers have are fair demands. They're righteous demands, and I think they're thinking about their future. It's about pensions. It's unfortunate we can't resolve all the issues that this company has and the workers have, whether it's workers working without benefits. They're working in one of the most expensive cities in Canada, if not the world, and with inflation going up, with rents, with mortgage payments, everything, it's just not acceptable that Nestle is not at the table dealing with these workers, trying to resolve this dispute.
Unifor says that there are currently no negotiation dates planned.
Well, the city will be celebrating its newest arrivals today as it looks to help them adjust to life in Toronto. It is the 10th annual Toronto Newcomer Day. Festivities will be held in Nathan Phillips Square until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Newcomers will be able to meet with representatives from local organizations to learn about services they can access to make getting settled easier. There will also be a showcase of cultural performances and a citizenship ceremony for new Canadians.
And we're live at Queen's Park. This is where officials are speaking about ongoing efforts to help save Durham's hospital. This is amid the announcement of the closure of all their inpatient beds. Let's listen.
But we've hit a wall. So at this point in time, we've hired some very large urban lawyer group that is representing us. And I'm here to say that probably in the next 48 hours, that it seems like this is all that we're going to be able to, how we're going to be able to negotiate. Certainly not a way that we want to, or are going to be required to, or want and need to. But here we are. We'll go at it and we'll attack it because we've tried everything we can about negotiation, conversation. That's not working, so now we're going to go the legal route. And that's what I'm here to announce today, that that's going to happen. With, I hope, the County of Grey and the support of the individuals that are here at the podium with me today as well, too. It's sad that we've come to this, that in a democracy we can't have open and free speech and be able to put things forward to resolve our issues for our community. But, as I said, here we are, and this is the avenue we've got to take, I've got to take, Council of West Grey has to take to protect our community and our citizens and deliver one of the most substantial things that being an Ontarian person, being a West Grey person, being a Canadian, of access to health care. Thank you for listening today, and I think that we have a few other people, Natalie, that would like to
Okay, many in the local community of Durham have expressed concerns about this. We're hearing from officials this hour at Queen's Park talking about the ongoing efforts to help save a hospital in Durham region amid the announcement of the closure of all their inpatient beds. We'll keep a close eye on that story for you.
Looking at other headlines, a double shooting in a Mississauga school parking lot happened overnight. It's left a man in his 40s dead. Another young male is fighting for his life.
And let's bring in CTV Toronto's John Musselman, who's live at the scene with the very latest. John.
Well, it happened in the parking lot right behind me. It's just adjacent to a school. This happened around 11 o'clock last night. Now, Peel Regional Police say they confirm one man is dead in his 40s, another man critically injured. This appears to be a targeted shooting, so something happened in this parking lot last night. There was an altercation and shots were fired. Neighbors are telling us they heard at least 2 or 3 shots ring out here just after 11 o'clock last night. When police arrived, that's when they found the victims. Here's what police and witnesses had to tell us this morning.
So the way the call came in, it informed us that there was some form of gathering here at the lot on the east side of the school. The nature of that gathering is unknown at this time, but there was some sort of altercation that occurred between the 2 victims and either a suspect or suspects. The number right now is we're unclear.
We were like maybe a kilometer or 2 away, and then we just we heard like a lot of sirens, like police sirens, and then I thought we heard like some sort of like pop or like some sound, but it might have been just like cars screeching, and then it was around like 10:40ish, 11. So yeah, it's about, I don't know how much that could help you.
And again, the school is open here. There is no issue that way. It was just part of the parking lot last night at 11 o'clock. Now, police continue to canvass the neighborhood. They're looking for any type of surveillance video or any witnesses who may have seen a car leaving this area last night. Anyone with information is being asked to call Peel Regional Police. Reporting live from the scene, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Okay, again, CTV's John Musselman live in Mississauga with the latest in the shooting.
And coming up next on CP24 Live at Noon, we'll take a look at a new category that WestJet is introducing for airline passengers.
All right, WestJet is introducing a cheaper fare for those willing to fly without a carry-on. And for a closer look at this, we're joined live by John Gradick, faculty lecturer and academic programs coordinator of supply chain, logistics, operations, and integrated aviation management at McGill University. John, okay, so let me get this straight. I can pay a cheaper fare if I don't bring anything on the plane, like I just walk on with me.
Yeah, you can walk on an airplane with WestJet with just something that would fit under the seat in front of you. So a briefcase, a purse, a merce, whatever it is that you have that has the dimensions that would fit under your seat in front of you, that's okay. If you have anything that requires you to be storing it in an overhead bin, you have to pay a higher fare. So they're really scrambling here to try to find opportunities to in fact reduce the cost of flying, and they're kind of nickel and diming you when it comes to the stuff that you can take on board.
Yeah, so that leads 2 questions, right? Okay, 1, is this actually going to work in practice? And 2, what all are we paying for that we shouldn't be paying for? You just said nickel and diming on almost everything.
Yeah, it's getting a little ridiculous. I think that the carriers are looking to try to differentiate themselves from each other and try to create a unique product that basically the competition can't do. So this is WestJet's attempt to, in fact, create a new class of fares that I'm not sure they're going to introduce a lower fare. It means probably the other fares will go higher. But this, the conditions associated with this low fare are no carry-on bags that cannot fit under the seat in front of you, because they're saying, premium space in that overhead bin means people today don't have enough room. So we're going to create a disincentive for people to bring stuff on board by creating this new fare. So it's really making it very confusing.
Hey, John, what is this going to do for summer travel, especially because isn't there also part of this announcement that there's going to be more seats added to the back of the plane?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to happen before the summer. I think that, that's a long, that's a process. They got 185 airplanes that I think, from what I understand, all of those airplanes are going to get fitted with an extra row of seats in the back of the airplane. Now, the question is, what's defined as the back of the airplane? So I'm figuring if they want to put an extra row of seats there, it's going to be the last 12 rows that basically now become the last 13 rows. They're going to put one more row in there in the same amount of linear feet on board the airplane. So instead of having a 28-inch pitch on those seats, you now will have 26, maybe 26 and a half. So those seats will get really tight. So if you're my size or your size, that's not the place you want to have to spend 5 or 6 hours flying from Toronto to Vancouver.
Okay, so John, bottom line, what does this mean for travelers with the summer vacation coming up? Because look, the temperatures are going up, and so are people's attitudes, especially when it comes to travel during the summer and the frustrations.
Yeah, I would have thought that summer 23 would have been our last major summer of bottlenecks and crises. If you remember, last year was pretty bad, and summer 22 was even worse. So we thought we had turned the corner with all of this staff that the airlines and the airports have introduced. But what's happening now is that the airlines are having a problem getting airplanes. Boeing's slow, Airbus is slow. There are not many airplanes available in the marketplace, so the schedules are going to get tight. The planes are going to be full. The fares are going to be high or higher than they were last summer. And so the summer 24 looks to be a little bit of a chaos, a little bit of discontent. And unfortunately, Canadians haven't got much of an option. All the carriers in Canada suffer from customer service deficiencies. So welcome to summer 24.
All right, get there the best way we can. John Gredick, faculty lecturer and academic programs coordinator of supply chain, logistics operations, and integrated aviation management at McGill University. Thanks for your time this afternoon.
Have a great day. Take care.
Well, coming up next on CP24 Live at Noon, we're going to go to City Hall next. This is where we will get an update on what's happening at Toronto City Council today.
Welcome back. A busy week at City Hall. Toronto City Councillors, they're back at it again today, looking at dozens of items still on the agenda.
Yesterday was dominated by discussions about a report that shows a $26 billion shortfall in the cost of maintaining its infrastructure, like transit, social housing, and libraries over the next decade. And council is hoping other levels of government will throw the city a financial lifeline.
And councillors will discuss the impact low-speed vehicles have on city streets. Electric scooters are still technically not allowed on city streets despite their popularity in urban settings, but small electric cars with a maximum speed of 50 kilometers an hour are being recommended for use.
And councillors Brad Bradford and John Burnside, they're putting forward a motion to speed up construction in the Gardiner. The proposal is to keep the rehabilitation work going around the clock in an effort to reduce the 3-year timeline for the project and save the city some money. It's a discussion that's already happening behind the scenes at City Hall.
And we'll take you live to City Hall now, where some city councillors are speaking to reporters. Let's listen in. There's Chris Moyes.
That I actually voted against as well was item 12. The recommendation was that licensing people who actually transport food, right? We know that those people are marginalized people. They're black people, people of color, people who are in the periphery. So by saying, like, let's license them and have them incur the cost is not the right thing to do. Even though we're saying that, let a third party actually pay for the licensing, we know that eventually these people who are most marginalized are the ones who end up paying for it. So again, there's an equity there that I'm very concerned about. And, we, in this privileged space, don't actually recognize that this is an equity issue.
Councillor, we're live on CP24. Can you tell us your thoughts on accelerating construction on the Gardiner? Will you support Councillor Bradford's motion to look at 24/7 construction and other strategies that could hasten this timeline?
The city is actually looking at that right now. City staff is looking at that right now. So Councillor Bradford's motion really is not going to help in any case. And there's actually work being done 24/7 right now under the Gardiner, which is not visible to the public. But again, staff is working on this, and I think this motion by Councillor Bradford is just really a performance issue, and I will not be supporting it.
The city does say, though, that the primary work hours are 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday to Saturday. So can more work not be done sooner, and would you support that no matter who is putting forward the motion, where that's coming from, if that's something city staff says is possible here?
Again, city staff's looking at that, but we have to look at noise mitigation and other things as well. We need a holistic approach, make sure that it's done properly. And again, people live in the area. We have to consider that as well. So again, let's wait for the report to come, and then we'll make an informed decision on that.
Councillor, why do you think that city staff have been so hesitant to wade in on e-scooters?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Again, it's here to stay. There's actually e-scooters in this building in City Hall. I've seen staff ride into here with them, right? They are on the subways. They are in our
All right, listening to Councillor Chris Moyes speak to reporters at City Hall. It's a busy week there. Everything from gridlock on the Gardiner to e-scooters is on the agenda, and we'll have more on that throughout the day.
And also a big talk of today, Toronto has landed a WNBA team. The yet-to-be-named team is going to be the league's 14th franchise and the first outside of the U.S. And for more reaction, we're joined live by Catherine Niker, host of The Pickup, a WNBA podcast. And Catherine, it's official. It is happening. How would you describe this moment? Let's hear it.
First of all, thank you so much for having me. Today has been absolutely wild. What a huge day. It's been years in the making, and we're finally here. And today, this morning at the press conference, it just felt like a huge celebration. The WNBA commissioner was there, Larry Tanenbaum, all our politicians, as you can see. I even got to interview Justin Trudeau earlier today. It's like a wild thing that I get to say, and it's been a really, really fun day.
Yeah, Justin Trudeau is going to be on your podcast. He talked about how proud he was at that announcement today, how this is history in the making. What did he tell you?
Yeah, that was really great. He talked to us a lot about just what this means for, not just women, but for young boys as well across the country, for women's sports, for women's basketball to become the norm, to become the status quo. I got to talk to him a bit about his kids who are really into sports and what it's like to be a parent, raising young kids and what kind of influence athletes have on them and things like that. It was a really fun interview we got to do today, and he was really nice and gracious with his time. And now I'm in a car because we're at this Lady Ballers event. They invited me to the next location. I feel like that's a big deal. So I'm just going wherever he goes right now.
Yeah, and just so people know, you're at the Lady Ballers camp because that is where the Prime Minister is going to be meeting with some young athletes.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Such a professional. Filling in the blanks for me. Thank you.
And also, the WNBA's commissioner talked about the rich history of women's basketball in Toronto. There's clearly an appetite for it. When Toronto hosted its first WNBA game last year, sold out in minutes, set records. Already today, there's a wait list online for season tickets. Does this make you wonder why it took so long?
Does this make me want to watch?
Does it make you wonder why it took so long to get this team?
Oh, wonder why it took so long. Yeah, last year, like you said, we had this record-breaking game, and it seemed like MLSE and Rogers were going to get in on this, and then they backed out for reasons that remain quite a head-scratcher, to be honest. And, Larry Tanenbaum, who I was like, oh, Larry Tanenbaum, such a feminist, but probably just a regular capitalist, seized the opportunity and used his own company, the Kilmer Group, to make this happen. And, a lot of it is due to his determination that we're here now. And I think, women's basketball, he said very well, it's not just having a moment, it's arrived. And I think that's a great way to put it. And I'm really glad he was able to finally make this happen.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you there. What kind of opportunities do you think this creates for women on and off the court, but also for businesses, because there is money to be made here?
Oh, it's huge. Everything from merchandise to advertising, but also you have the equivalent of what the Raptors effect has been, right? You see, the Raptors have been around for over 25 years. We have a whole generation of kids that have grown up with that team. Now we have a really strong Olympic team that's going to be, going for a medal this summer. And that was, a bit of a pipe dream 25 years ago, right? So, here we are. And I think that influence was huge for different kinds of community growth, not just in Toronto, but across Canada. And I think this is going to have a very similar effect.
Okay, Catherine Niker, host of The Pickup, a WNBA podcast. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And coming up next on CP24 Live at noon, a man is dead and a second person fighting for his life after a shooting in a school parking lot near Winston Churchill and Battleford in Mississauga. Stay with us for the latest.
Toronto's been awarded Canada's first ever WNBA team. We're going to have reaction coming up.
A man is dead and a second person is fighting for his life after a shooting in a school parking lot near Winston Churchill and Battleford in Mississauga.
At Toronto City Council's meeting for a second day, councillors have been discussing electric scooters, and they're also expected to talk about Gardiner gridlock this afternoon.
Good afternoon and welcome to CP24 Live at noon. I'm Lena Latifat.
Not Bakari Savage. It is official. Toronto's getting a WNBA team. And for more on today's announcement, let's go live to CP24. Steve Ryan. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Bakari, Lena, big news today when it comes to the WNBA. Toronto, as we've been reporting all day, has been awarded the 14th franchise in WNBA history. This is their 28th season with regards to the NBA being in WNBA, that is, being in existence. And the Toronto team will start their season in 2026. So we were at Hotel X throughout the day when the announcement was made. The commissioner of the WNBA was present, as was the Prime Minister, the Premier, the Mayor, and Larry Tanenbaum. Tanenbaum is a minority owner in the Maple Leafs. He was the person mostly responsible for bringing this WNBA franchise to Toronto, and he will be the majority owner of this franchise as well. All of those people I just talked about made some remarks on a podium, and here is some of the remarks made by the Commissioner and the Prime Minister with regards to this big announcement today here in Toronto. Let's listen.
The team will start play in our 2026 season, and we're just at such a pivotal moment for our league. We have set viewership records, selling out season tickets, growing the game, and adding this 14th team marks a particularly significant milestone in the ongoing growth of the league. So this has been a major goal of mine, certainly since I joined the league a few years ago. I'm here with my team who made this all possible. And we know, as we looked at the data around Toronto being a remarkably diverse city and vibrant city, and we're so proud that the WNBA is now part of this open and welcoming community.
Through thick and thin, through heartbreak and triumph and heartbreak, Torontonians consistently demonstrate their passion, their commitment, and their love for professional sports. Toronto's also a diverse city, a welcoming city, and a progressive city. So it should come as no surprise that when it hosted the first ever WNBA game in Canada a year ago, it sold out and set records for attendance, broadcast viewership, and merchandise sales.
The team will play out of the Coca-Cola Coliseum, which is just north of me, behind me here. It seats just under 9,000 people, and the team will also take their game on the road, playing in both Montreal and Vancouver, as they spread the word with regards to the WNBA first ever franchise being in Canada, starting here in Toronto in 2026. Guys, so back to you.
All right, CP24, Steve Ryan. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Steve. And for more reaction to Toronto being awarded Canada's first ever WNBA team, we're joined live by Raptors superfan Nav Bhatia. Nav, it's great to see you as always. Most people know you as a Raptors superfan, but you've been a champion of gender equity in sport for a long time, helping countless girls do what they love, play basketball. What does this moment mean to you?
Huge. This is huge, and I was dreaming about this few years ago, and couple of times I did whisper in Larry Tanenbaum's ear about this, and I'm so happy and excited that he's making it possible to come to Toronto now, and I'm very excited about it.
Okay, so along with that, Nav, we're talking about, the next WNBA team, but the first for Canada and outside of the U.S. Let's talk about that.
Well, it's just like a Raptors. Raptors was the first team outside of North America, from America, and look how we grew. We from a new team, and in 25 years we were the champions. And I'm so excited and thankful to Larry Tanenbaum and everybody who is involved in this. Larry is going to do everything to make our WNBA team a champion in a shorter while than we did it with the men's team.
The Prime Minister was also on hand for this announcement, Nav, as you know, and he said, for too long, women's sports have been underappreciated and underfunded. You know that that is true. And he also said that era is over now. What have you heard from female basketball players over the years? What have they said to you about the lack of opportunities?
Well, I think that's what it is. And I think Larry Tanenbaum understands that. And he understood, he heard them. And now the world is going to see how how this team, WNBA, whatever it's called, I don't know the name yet, whenever they name it, but it's going to do so well. And I talk to a lot of people, you know, girls, boys. I do the camp every summer for the girls also, which where the WNBA stars come. And I believe this is going to be appreciated everywhere, coast to coast, because this is going to be Canada's WNBA team, just like the Raptors. And I'm so excited to see my good friend Teresa, who's the president of this team now, and she has done an excellent job with the Raptors, and I believe she's going to do an amazing job for the Toronto women WNBA team.
And also, let's talk about, you know, gender equality, leveling the playing field, because, look, you know, in the States, the WNBA teams, they were flying commercially up until a few weeks ago. You know, the big question was, why can't they fly charter jets like the NBA team? Let's talk about all of that and how this team can make a difference.
It will. You know what? Look at what happened in the last WNBA game. It was sold out in few minutes, and everybody, and the crowd was amazing, and the TV audience was amazing. This is going to be very good, and I hope, and I tell you that some of these games are going to attract so many people that Mr. Larry Tanenbaum will have to move this game to Air Canada, to Bank of Nova Scotia Arena. So I'm very excited about it. I cannot, you know, I'm getting goosebumps while talking to it because it is my dream come true. And you know what the Raptors did for the Canadian boys? We have over 34 Canadian kids who are playing elite basketball in NBA. The same thing is going to happen with the girls team. And I'm waiting for a day when they stop talking about the boys NBA, boys basketball and the girls basketball. I'm waiting for that day because these girls are amazing. They are good. And look at the crowd they're getting in America now. But wait till the Toronto debuts take place, the Toronto WNBA team comes, you will see the crowd and the support like you have never seen before in this world.
They are amazing. They are good. You're right about that. Really quickly, Nav, are you going to be there courtside supporting these women?
I'm hoping for it. I will be. I'm looking forward to be also supporting them as loud as I can and cheering for them. Okay. So thank you, Larry Tanenbaum. Thank you, everyone who's involved in bringing this team. We are excited. Thank you, and thank you again.
Oh, Nav Bhatia, always love your enthusiasm. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And police are asking for help identifying a suspect in an alleged sexual assault at Union Station. So investigators, they've released these security camera images of the man that they're looking for. And police allege that a woman was sexually assaulted on an eastbound GO train in the station last Friday. The suspect was last seen going north on Bay Street. He's described as being 20 to 30 years old, 5'10", with a slim build. He was wearing dark clothing, a baseball hat, and carrying a skateboard. Anyone with information is asked to call police or Crime Stoppers.
A man in his 40s is dead after a double shooting outside a school in Mississauga. Shots were fired in the parking lot of Settlers Green Public School on Montevideo Road near Winston Churchill Boulevard and Battleford Road. This was just after 11 o'clock last night. The two victims were taken to hospital in life-threatening condition, where one later died. Police say the victim in hospital is a male under the age of 20 who remains in critical condition.
We're not sure at the time, right now, at present, that the vehicles on scene, how they are related to the investigation. That is something that we'll be certain to update, and we're looking into right now. At the time, it was pretty populated in the evening. Varying reports of anywhere from 10 to 20 people gathered in that lot for reasons we don't know yet. And at the time of the shooting, there are reports of vehicles leaving the area, but it's too early to tell at the moment whether those are witnesses or suspects or just individuals fleeing the sound of gunfire.
Oh, it's crazy. Like, I never thought this area would like have that kind of stuff, you know? Because like we moved here because it's like a really safe, like nice part of Mississauga, so it's like really scary.
Investigators say they don't have any suspect information yet, but several vehicles fled the area and some witnesses have come forward.
GTA Police Services, they've launched a campaign to combat street racing. Project Erase. It stands for Eliminate Racing Activity on Streets Everywhere. It kicked off at Exhibition Place this morning. The police from Toronto, York, Peel, Halton, Hamilton, and OPP, they were all in attendance. They're coming together for this campaign because they say that street racing has no jurisdictional boundaries.
It's crucial for people to understand the risks associated with illegal street racing and the potential consequences, not only for themselves, but for other users of our roads. We want to emphasize the importance of keeping racing activities confined to legal racetracks. This is essential for public safety. We want to encourage the public and empower our communities to report dangerous driving and illegal racing activity.
These drivers have organized themselves and advertised the meets on social media, routinely encouraging followers to attend. These stunts are often performed in front of groups of onlookers who stand far too close to the dangerous activities that are taking place just to try and capture the next viral video for social media. They're placing themselves in harm's way and they're risking serious injury or worse.
Stunt driving and street racing carry possible fines of up to $10,000 as well as a 30-day license suspension at roadside and a 14-day vehicle impoundment.
1242, 24 degrees. Let's get a check on that lunch hour drive. Adjoa and Siayabwa keeping a close eye on the roads. Hi there.
Oh, I am. Good afternoon, Lena Bakari. We are dealing with quite a few problems on this very sunny Thursday. So if you're headed out and you're heading to Scarborough on the eastbound lanes of the 401, maybe stick with the collectors. Eastbound 401 in the Express through McCowan. It is a serious collision that does have the 3 left lanes occupied. And then on the westbound 401, just past the 400 in the Express, crews dealing with a stalled vehicle. Stalls off to the side, but MTO crews are blocking that left lane. It has been a very, very tough drive for the last little while on the Gardiner east and westbound because of the long-term road work between Jameson and Strawn. That's also adding to your slow drive. But as you make your way further west on the Gardiner, we have crews on scene. Toronto Transportation, they're picking up garbage debris. So not sure why they don't do this in the overnight, but they decided to do it now. It's very busy out of the downtown core, and it is that right lane that's occupied. And southbound 44 DVP still a heavy go from Shepherd all the way down towards Richmond. My camera through here is out, but at last check, we were dealing with that maintenance in the left lane. Was getting word from Toronto Transportation they're going to wrap up by 12:30. 12:30's come and gone, and they're still in that left lane. I'll send it back to you.
The CP24 traffic report is brought to you by CapitalDirect.ca.
And coming up next on CP24 Live at noon, we're going to talk to Councillor Brad Bradford about his motion to speed up construction on the Gardiner. Stick around.
Toronto City Councillors Brad Bradford and John Burnside are putting forward a motion to speed up construction on the Gardiner. And for a closer look at this, we're now joined live by Councillor Brad Bradford, who is at City Hall. Thanks so much for making time for us. I know it's been a busy week. Look, a lot of people are passionate about this. Just before we threw to break, we showed our viewers a live shot of the Gardiner right now. It's a pretty painful drive these days. Tell me more about your motion and your expectations.
The experience on the Gardiner right now is an absolute horror show. It's choking our economy, it's killing our small business, and it is ruining quality of life for residents here in Toronto. The idea that the administration thinks this type of catastrophic delay is acceptable for 3 years is not on. So the motion that I'm presenting today are a number of key steps to speed up the construction, minimize the impact, and get Torontonians moving again faster.
The pictures really tell the story. It feels like you're in a parking lot some days. It's certainly a brutal drive this hour as well. What do you say to your colleagues? We just heard from Councillor Chris Moyes, who says he doesn't really think your motion is going to help solve the problem. He says work is already being done 24/7 and that he doesn't think this motion goes far enough. How do you respond?
Well, city staff will tell you work is not being done 24/7. And that image right there is classic example. You got a bunch of pylons around an empty lane. Maybe there's some construction equipment being stored there, but nothing's actually happening. And the delays are catastrophic. You know, for my council colleagues that don't feel the urgency of this type of motion, they are obviously not listening. I know the mayor has indicated that there is more work being done. Well, it's about time because it's been 7 weeks of this type of congestion. And again, it is is choking our economy, killing our small business, and really ruining quality of life for Torontonians. I'm glad that they are moving this forward. And if my role in bringing this motion forward helps start the conversation, that's important. And at the end of the day, we need to be exploring items like 24/7 construction, assembly of some of the infrastructure offsite and delivery, and finally having a coordinated approach to all of the parallel streets in the downtown that are equally congested and tied up with construction. You're dealing with major construction projects on Lakeshore, on Gardiner, on King Street, Richmond, Adelaide, Queen. And that's why it's at such a breaking point right now, because there are no alternative routes for people to use. So they are in the unfortunate position of being stuck in traffic, and it's not a minor delay. People's commutes have doubled over the past 7 weeks. So, it's time for the mayor and City Hall to get serious about congestion, take some action, and my motion today is intended to be a catalyst for that. Let's go 24/7 on the Gardiner and get it done faster.
What have you heard from other city councillors who are supporting this motion, and what about everyday people in the city? How have they reacted?
You know what? My wife was showing me some communication in one of the East End mom groups, and somebody was just returning back from a mat leave, and that's hard enough for anyone when you're kind of going back to work. But she now is spending 2 additional hours in traffic navigating to her place of employment and back every day. And that's the type of real world impact that this is having on people. Some of the downtown councillors might try and dismiss the impact on people, but like I said, it's hurting small business. It's a logistical nightmare for people, and the quality of life issue, the fact that it takes you longer to get to work at a time when we're trying to bring people back to the office. The reality that it's time away from your family at the end of the day when you're trying to get home. Those impacts are real. Downtown councillors might try to be dismissive, and certainly this hasn't been a priority for the mayor, but that changes today. We need to advance this work faster, and we need to use all the tools that are at our disposal to make that happen.
Councillor, I do want to ask you about this. The Deputy Mayor, Jennifer McKelvey, says work is already underway to look at speeding up work on the Gardiner, that a report is going to be sent to City Hall soon. What are your expectations from that? Does that give you hope?
It does. And I've talked to Councillor McKelvey about this, and they're expecting a report to address some of these issues to land in front of us in July. My question for the mayor was, why wasn't this done earlier? And it seems like it was this motion from Councillor Burnside and us and myself that was really a catalyst for this discussion. There's been a lot of reporting and coverage on this over the past couple of weeks, but it just felt like congestion issues in the city of Toronto were not a priority for this administration. That changes today, and I welcome that report to come back in July with a clear roadmap for 24/7 construction.
And the concerns about noise, is that a fair argument?
Well, look, there are definitely issues that come with construction and inconvenience. I think we just have to measure the impact and the scale of that. Right now, there's 200 to 300,000 people who are losing hours on their commute every day because they're tied up in this construction mess. I don't think we have that balance right. I think this is proceeding too slowly. And when you consider the impacts on the economy and the impact on returning people to the office, getting them home to their families, and it's not just a Toronto issue. The Gardiner is a key artery for the entire region. I've heard from folks from Brampton and Hamilton and further abroad. It's an issue for them as well. So we have to recognize the impact of Toronto here in the regional context. That has to be balanced with some of the impacts that will be associated with construction locally. But at the end of the day, we cannot afford to sit on our hands for 3 years and let this just meander forward. The consequences are too great. They're unacceptable, and I'm not going to stand for it, which is why we're taking action at council today to speed this thing up.
Okay, Councillor Brad Bradford, thanks for making time, and keep us posted as to what happens to your motion.
We will let you know. Thanks, Lena.
Thank you. And coming up next on CP24 Live at Noon, today is the 10th annual Newcomer Day. We'll let you know how Toronto is marking it. Coming up, that's a live look.
The city's going to be celebrating its newest arrivals today as it looks to help them adjust to life in Toronto.
It is the 10th annual Toronto Newcomer Day. This is a live shot. Festivities are being held right here at Nathan Phillips Square until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Quite busy there. Newcomers are able to meet with representatives from local organizations to learn about services they can access to make getting settled easier. There will also be a showcase of cultural performances and a citizenship ceremony for new Canadians.